Hey there, how you doing? It's your friend Phil here, project management trainer and coach. Welcome to 40 days to PMP and CAPM exam success. I hope you're doing good, and I hope you've been catching up with the days, because now we're shifting gears here and going over to the executing process group. The executing process group is the third process group that we are about to dive into. We started off the curriculum by going through risk management at first. We went through all 6 of those processes of risk, and then we went into chapters 1 to 3, and then we continued going through initiating, going down, develop project charter, down to identifying stakeholders, and then we went into planning, whatever was left of planning that we didn't complete. So now we're done with initiating and planning. On to executing. Executing is very important for your PMP exam because this is where you have the most marks. You have 31% of your exam weighting from executing. Now, executing only has 8 processes, but it carries 31%. If you compare that with planning that has so many processes and not more weighting than executing, it makes you think a little bit, doesn't it? So executing is very, very important. The processes in executing are predominantly from HR, human resource management, and we have those 3 processes that are smack dab in the middle of executing: acquire project team, develop project team, manage project team. And we're going to cover those at some point all on one day, but those 3, although they may seem short, they are so important for your exam to understand the inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs, and sub-techniques, conflict management, conflict resolution techniques, Tuckman's ladder, stuff like that. We are going to cover that within executing. And going down the list, you've got managed communications, you've got conduct procurements, which is important, you've got managed stakeholder engagement. So we're going to cover all of these processes. It's going to be really quick, it's going to be rapid, but a lot of the work is on you to get done. Okay, so welcome to today. Our first process in executing is direct and manage project work. Now, on the surface, this looks like a very ambiguous process because there are other processes in executing. So people often ask, why do I need this? Well, this is an integrative process. And you know what integration is all about? Integration type processes are all about coordinating, unifying, and combining other processes of project management within the context of that process group. So anything that comes from outside of integration needs to be combined, and it needs to be integrated. And that is exactly what we do in this process: direct and manage project work. So if you look at the major output, let's talk about the output first, because the major output of direct and manage project work will help you understand what is happening here. In this process, you are coordinating, unifying, and combining everything necessary while executing the project management plan to give you the final deliverable, the final product, service, or result of the project. So it is a very, very important process. This is where you get the deliverable that you've been working on. This is where it all comes together to get the deliverable. Another very important output of this process is work performance data, often referred to as WPD. Work performance data is your raw observations regarding the project, raw observations on the project. These raw observations can be further analyzed to give work performance information in the various controlling processes. So control schedule, control cost, control risk, all of these processes rely on work performance data. that work performance data is an output of this process, direct and manage project work. And the work performance data, like I said, goes to all controlling processes from scope management all the way down to stakeholder management. Okay, so this is one of those recurring themes that is so important for you to master. If you master that, you won't have to study it again and again. Okay, so I've mentioned two very important outputs of direct and managed project work. First one is the deliverable, and the second is work performance data. Okay. Now, taking a look at the input to direct and manage project work. In order to really understand the inputs, you need to think about what's being done. You are executing the plan to get the deliverable complete. You are also executing on any change requests that have been approved by the change control board, which is the body of folks who approve, reject, or put on hold change requests. So one of the inputs that you'll see to direct and manage project work, which is often overlooked, is called approved change requests. So approved change requests is an input to direct and manage project work. Now, as you are directing and managing the project work, it is not strange for you to have change requests come out of this process as well. So you have this unique relationship in this process where change requests is an output of direct and managed project work, but approved change requests is an input to it as well. So it's one of those unique processes. In fact, it's the second process where you see this. You also see this happen in control quality, but that's the only other process you see approved change requests going in and change requests also coming out from the same process. So bear that in mind. Okay, now obviously the project management plan is an input to direct and manage project work because you are carrying out the plan. All right, and as you carry out the plan, of course, some systems like project management information systems, those will help you to execute, to carry out the plan, carry out the work. Expert judgment will also come into play as well as one of the tools and techniques you use. And with that said, that's all about direct and managed project work. The very bland and unassuming process in integration. But it's very important that you understand how direct and managed project work integrates so many processes through work performance data, and also by virtue of the fact that your deliverable is derived here. This is where all roads lead to creating that deliverable. Okay, now after your deliverable comes out of this process, it's not the end. In fact, I would advise you to, at this point, search for my video on YouTube that's called the PMBOK Guide Mainlines. PMBOK Guide Mainlines video. Look for that video because that video will help you see what happens once deliverables is produced. After you get deliverables from this process, deliverables becomes an input to control quality. And from that, if your deliverable is found to be good to go to the customer, you then get verified deliverables, and that becomes an input to validate scope. And if the customer checks that verified deliverable and agrees that it meets their needs, you get an accepted deliverable. So this is really just the beginning of deliverables. There's that whole deliverables, verified deliverables, accepted deliverables, and final product, service, or result transition chain that you need to master. And how do you master it? The way to master it, folks, is by taking a look at that video that I call the PMBOK Guide Mainlines video. Okay, that's it for today. A bit of a long one, but definitely worth it. All the best in your studying, and speak to you tomorrow.